So what is going on, guys? Today we are previewing Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. If you haven't seen it already, there was a launch trailer that got released just a few hours ago now. And, you know, it pretty much was very, very nostalgic, and it kind of showed, like, the journey from Metal Gear Solid 1 all the way through until Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. So yeah, it's kind of like previewing the game, kind of expecting, we're going to expect what to see from it. That was the worst sentence in the world, but whatever, we'll go with it. Pretty much, we're just going to kind of discuss what we think the game is going to be like. Obviously, the reviews have already come out. They've already got 10s in like, IGN and GameSpot of giving it 10s. So we're going to kind of think about what we expect of the game, and yeah, just kind of discuss it in general. So one of you want to kick off on like what you think about the game? Obviously, you two haven't even played any Metal Gear Solid games, but
so in a way, this video is sort of redundant because you have two people who haven't played the series at all, and one person who's only played part of the series. But keep tuned, people. Keep tuned, because I guess we have some opinions on it. Whether or not they're valid or invalid, you can decide for yourself. But as far as the game is concerned, it's obvious that this is going to be many people's games of the year, and without like even playing the game, I think some people are still convinced it's already the game of the year. I think Robin was saying before in the chat that like he's like almost expecting this to be his game of the year, and I think a lot of people are approaching it that way. And if you look at the Metal Gear Solid track record, then you can understand why. And anybody who's played any of the previous Metal Gear Solid games, or at least started from the beginning of the story, or at least know what the story is somewhat like, then they'll realise what sort of a calibre this series is. And it goes without saying that this series is packed full of quality. You know, there's some really good games in this series that a lot of people have enjoyed, and I'm only just going on what people have told me about it. I mean, let alone what I'd actually feel if I were playing it. And this is the sort of series that I think I would enjoy, which is why it's I guess a slight regret that I won't be playing this game, because I really do want to play it, but I fear that I'm just not going to know what's going on. And as a result, people have told me, including Oscar and Robin, have told me to play through the previous games, and I do believe I will at some point. It's just a matter of when I'll do that, and I think I'm going to wait until it's the next sort of dry period in gaming. You know, there's usually a few throughout the year where you're just wanting to play some games randomly, and I think I'll probably go back to Metal Gear Solid when one of those comes around next, because it is a series I think if you get the opportunity to experience, you should take it. So that is my opinion on it. I'm not quite sure what to expect from Metal Gear Solid 5, because of course I've not played the series before, although from what I've seen of it, it does look to be a very high quality game, regardless of the story, which is meant to be the best part about it. So go ahead, Callum.
What I think is that this new Metal Gear Solid game looks to be similar to what the previous games have done, so stealth and shooter type gameplay. Like with all these reviews as well, giving it 10 out of 10 great review score. It looks to be like as many people have said, like probably their game of the year. Like, and as Quan has said as well, I kind of regret not playing it as well. But I did play a bit of I think it was Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots, I think it was.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, number 4.
Yeah, and I just couldn't get over how much fucking dialogue and how many cutscenes there were in that, and it just kind of put me off the game a little bit. I don't know why, but it's just, so I'd rather play the game. But if this game is like got less cutscenes in it, I'd rather play this than look at and compare it to something like Metal Gear Solid 4. I think it'll be a great game that people will really enjoy. And yeah, probably many people's game of the year. But yeah, I can't say shit because I haven't played any of them really.
That's the thing, right? So I mean, Quan and Callum haven't really actually played either. Well, they've not played. Have you ever played any of the games? Quan, whatever your name is.
Nope.
You've not played any of the games. So that's the thing, right? So this is the thing that I've noticed from most of the reviews that I've been reading in the past week or so, is that gameplay seems very, very, very key in the Metal Gear Solid 5. So that's the thing. The gameplay
was throughout the entire series.
Well, that's the thing.
I thought anyway.
In terms of Metal Gear Solid, the games that were coming out on the PS2 and the PS1, so that's the first 3 games. They were, the story is what you played the games for. You didn't. I mean, that's the thing. Like looking back at them now, about 10 years on. To be honest, the gameplay feels very, very old. Sometimes I found it difficult to play. Recently, I've been playing through Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, which of course is the PS2 game that came out in 2004. And that was like the gameplay is pretty good for a 2004 shooter, but the problem is it's just the controls just don't make sense for a modern day kind of game. Like, you'd expect that L and R are used to shoot, but instead it's actually R to zoom in and square to hold down and shoot. So it's kind of all over the place in terms of controls. The game feels a little bit clunky as well, but in terms of story, there's not many games that do have that kind of story, which is like so many twists and turns that you don't even know where it's going next. But that's the thing with Metal Gear Solid 5. Now, if you have played Ground Zeroes, which is the kind of demo that came out kind of the beginning of 2014, the gameplay for that was very, very, very good, and that's what people kind of praised it for. Obviously, the graphics are excellent as well, using the Fox engine, but the gameplay of Metal Gear Solid 5 is meant to be what's more important than the story, apparently. According to IGN, and that's what they've put in their review, they said that one of the things which...
And IGN knows all.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, I'm using it
to Oscar anyway.
I'm using it as an example, but
Yeah.
as I said, like,
Okay.
the story is something that people seem to be kind of saying, yeah, it's still a good story, but the gameplay is what this game is going to be for and what people will remember it for. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic to see how the gameplay becomes kind of... If you look back on the old games, like, the gameplay was always like the thing that people didn't always play it for, but now it's becoming the thing that people do play it for, and the story is kind of becoming the thing which people will still play it for, but they'll notice that the gameplay has definitely had a massive improvement, and I think that's the main thing that this game will be kind of praised for in the end. So,
So if you had to explain to someone who hadn't played the Metal Gear Solid series before, cough cough, me and Callum, how would you describe the game? Like, what is the game about? Like, why do people play the game? You said with the first few it was because of the story, but what is it about the story that makes it so good, apart from all the twists and turns? Like, what's it actually about?
Well, I mean,
go around and shoot people.
That's the thing.
While
It's
trying to sneak about.
Well, that's like a very, very basic kind of explanation of what Metal Gear Solid
That's
is.
the only explanation I can think
That's
of.
the thing, right? The story is so kind of like vast. It's like it basically takes place of two different characters. One of them is Solid Snake, who is in Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 4. And that's in fact, it's the only ones he's actually been in. But the other character, who is Naked Snake in the first game he was in, which is Snake Eater number 3, and he moves in to be Big Boss in Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, and also Ground Zeroes, if you are counting that as well. So there's these two characters, and they're both kind of they both are Snake, and it sounds very, very difficult to understand for you guys. I'm sure you'll be like,
what about
all over
Liquid
the place.
and Gas Snake?
That's the thing, that there's so many different characters that, like, there's like Revolver Ocelot, and there's like Liquid Ocelot, and there's like all these different variations of different characters. It's a very, very complicated storyline. I wouldn't say like it's the easiest thing to understand at first. If you're playing the games for the first time, you will not understand everything that's going on, especially if you're playing them in the order that they came out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instead, they're actually out of order. It's almost like Star Wars in a way, where you've got the concept of the first 3 films that came out were actually the last 3 films in that sense. Like, and that's the thing, right? So Metal Gear Solid 3 is technically the first game. It takes place in the 60s, and Metal Gear Solid 5 takes place in the 80s. And then the newer games, they will take place in, well, the 2000s, and they actually take place in some cases further on than present day. So that's the thing. It's really, really confusing storylines and stuff, and people will not understand it the first time they play it through. People have to read it through, discuss it with other people, and that's the great thing about Metal Gear Solid, is the sense that you are... It's like, the first time you experience it, you'll be like, oh shit, that's really, really interesting. That's a really interesting dynamic, and that is an interesting plot twist. But you might not understand the concept of like what's happening in the whole storyline, I suppose. Which, you know, I mean, there's so many different twists and turns. Robin might be the one who you might want to talk to. He's played all of the games through and understands, I think, the majority of the story in that sense. But in terms of...
Yeah, but he won't talk to us, so we're kind of screwed with that.
Oh wow!
Boom, boom! Shots fired.
Callum being blunt as usual. But in terms of what to expect from Metal Gear Solid 5, I understand. Is it the last game in the series, or is it meant to be the last game in the series?
It rounds off the story of Naked Snake or Big Boss, pretty much. That's what it rounds off.
That's what
joins the two characters together, pretty much, in Solid Snake and Big Boss. That's what it really does.
Okay.
In a way, you could see it as the last game, but you might.
Well, Kojima's left Konami now, hasn't he? So like, the last game, and they own the IP, so that it makes sense, I guess, for it to be the last game. And they've also taken Kojima's name off the cover, which I guess is another topic we could discuss briefly about it. Do you think that the fallout between Kojima and Konami will have affected the game's development, or like will it affect how good the game is? It doesn't seem to be the case because of the reviews it's got, but do you reckon that would have had any effect on it?
To be honest,
if
it
had
happened
been,
later on in
if
the
it had been
development. I don't think.
no, if it had been earlier in development, then maybe. But because it's like kind of towards the end of that kind of cycle, I'd say, like as you said with the review scores, I'd say I don't think it's gonna have impacted it that much, especially with it getting 10s everywhere or like high 9s and 10s. I think it's gonna like be a great game, even though I won't play it.
Wow, good one, Callum.
I don't give a shit.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty much everything really. I mean the game looks awesome. The actual kind of story is hopefully going to be fully rounded off. We hope to see what the story is going to finish like, and obviously what the game is going to be playing like in terms of gameplay. But yeah, that's pretty much everything we wanted to say really. Go watch the trailer if you haven't already. We'll put it in the description actually if you haven't seen it, although it's probably been blurted out all over the internet already. But yeah, pretty much just go watch the trailer if you haven't already. Go play MGS if you haven't actually played it, because it is a fantastic series. I'm playing through most of it right now.
Don't tell me what to do.
But yeah, let us know what you think about MGS 5. Are you going to go get the game? Are you going to actually play it? And we'd like to thank you a lot for watching. We hope to see you again
Next
time.